Welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and I forgot I was live at 7, not 8. Sorry for being 11 minutes late. Lots to get into on the show tonight. We're going to be talking about Thomas Tuchel begging. He's begging for Ten Hag's job. It's a little bit embarrassing, I think. But look, a lot of people do quite like the prospects of Thomas Tuchel being a Man United manager. We'll talk about what he said. We'll talk about what David Ornstein has said. And look, what I will say at the very start of the show is that the similarities are really interesting, aren't we? Dutch manager in the FA Cup final for Manchester United potentially being sacked and replaced by a sacked Chelsea manager. We've been here before. Van Gaal for Mourinho. And Mourinho's star was shining a lot brighter than Tuchel's. And we're back here again. Dutch manager being sacked for a guy who openly admitted today in a press conference he loved his time at Chelsea. Could you imagine taking Sir Alex Ferguson in 1986 after an interview where he said he loved Liverpool? No, I don't think we would, but we are desperate. Some of our fans are so desperate that the grass is greener over the fence, no matter what's over there. They could be leaping into a crocodile's mouth, but they think the grass is greener. They're doing it blind, in my opinion. But look, we'll get into that. Also, David Ornstein's been talking about a few things as well, and quite a few. Eric Ten Hag talking about Jadon Sancho as well, saying that he couldn't have done any more for him, and some say he went above and beyond any manager would normally do. We'll talk about that as well. Lots to get into, but before we do, we're sponsored by Manscaped. Well, yes, Manscaped, definitely. Trim the grass to make your yard look bigger. I've actually had a shave today with my beard trimmer on 0.5. It's got 11 different lengths. This is the absolute beast when it comes to a shave. Brilliant bit of kit, the beard trimmer. You've also got, I also used the Handyman, which you can charge and take around you. It's very handy, just for tidying up around there. Also, I had a little bit of a go on the beard, not the beard trimmer, on the weed whacker up the nose. Brilliant. And I'm not going to tell you whether I used this, the lawn mower. That's for down there. Trim the grass to make the yard look bigger. You can get 20% off with the code TUS, plus free worldwide shipping. That's free shipping, free delivery, in other words, and 20% off with the code TUS. Links in the description, or scan that QR code next to me. Manscaped really is a game changer. We could do with one of those against Arsenal, but it really will change your game in the midfield. Absolutely fantastic. United could do with one of those as well. Big shout out to Manscaped. Absolutely fantastic. Hope you're all doing well. I have had a haircut today as well. Yeah, thank you very much for that. Quite nice weather, so I've got my nice t-shirt on as well. Feeling good. And it's Real Madrid against Bayern Munich, which is why I'm a little bit early on this. How are their marginal gains working out, says Paul B. Yeah, I think that's to do with Sir David Brailsford, isn't it? Well, we'll see. You know, it's early days for Ineos, if we're being fair. Right, let's get into where this all started. It started because Bayern Munich are playing in Real Madrid tonight. Well, they're playing in Madrid against Real Madrid tonight. And Thomas Tuchel had to say this on his future. It's very, very, very unlikely that I'll be staying at Bayern, and it's no secret that I loved it at Chelsea. I loved it in England, and I loved it in the Premier League for sure. It was a very, very special time, and I remember it well. So, look, did he openly say that he wants the Manchester United job? No. But what he did say is that he loved it at Chelsea, and he loved it at England. He loved it in England, and obviously, as I said this morning, when it comes to Thomas Tuchel being interested in the Man United job, if you were living on the streets and somebody said, do you want to come and live in my house? I've got a lovely warm fire and a bed. Would you say no? He's homeless. He's got no job. Like, he's been sacked. He's been sacked because he's fell out with Bayern Munich again. I don't really, in fairness to Tuchel, look, I always come at things from an even-handed way. I'll express an opinion, but I'm always going to try and be fair. He is a good coach. Thomas Tuchel is a good coach. I've said it in the past. I actually considered him as a good replacement for Southgate for the England job. Having said that, I genuinely think a bag of cement would be a better replacement for Southgate in the England job. Put a bow tie on it, put a waistcoat on, I think it'd do a great job. But Thomas Tuchel is a good coach. And I actually feel that at Bayern Munich, I don't really think he's lost his job at Bayern Munich because of results. Although not winning a Bundesliga when anybody could do it is probably quite damning for him. But I think the real reason that he's lost his job at Bayern Munich is because he's fell out with the people at Bayern Munich. And I think the real reason he lost his job at Chelsea, because he wasn't doing that bad at Chelsea and he got sacked very, very quickly under the Todd Boehly regime, is because he fell out with people at Chelsea. And I also think he lost his job at PSG because he fell out with people at PSG. So I will be fair to Thomas Tuchel and say it's not necessarily that he got the sack at Chelsea and Bayern Munich because he was a bad coach. I think it's more likely that he got the sack at those clubs because he fell out with the hierarchy. Having said that, some people will say, shut up, Mark, not for the first time. You're wrong. He got the sack at Bayern Munich because he couldn't win the league with the best team in the league. This is like Man City not winning the league by 15 points to Arsenal, which, you know, Pep wouldn't get the sack for that, I don't think, but it is embarrassing for Bayern, especially when they only won it because Dortmund bottled it last year. So, look, maybe Tuchel did get the sack from Bayern because they didn't win the league, but I think, to be fair, he probably has just fell out with their ownership a little bit, and that's why he's going to lose his job. But he has lost his job. I think there's people rolling the carpet out for Thomas Tuchel, and he has lost his job again. Like, he's lost his last 3 jobs through sackings, not through being poached by anybody else. So he is a guy that's lost his job. That I think that is absolutely 100%. And he's also a guy that stood in a bar showing a bit of leg to Chelsea and Man United. You know, that interview he's done today, mentioning Chelsea, saying he likes England, he ain't saying Man United. I think he stood at a bar without a drink, showing a bit of leg, saying, who's going to buy me a drink? And he's flirting. He's flirting with Man United. I think he's flirting with Chelsea. He's probably flirting with anyone who'll give him a job, especially in England, because the Premier League is probably where he wants to manage. So I think you have to take all those things into account when you're thinking about it. Now, if you want Thomas Tuchel as Man United manager, well done. You've formed an opinion, you've taken that leap, and that's the guy that you want. And look, we'll now move on to other news. This is what other journalists are saying. Plettigol, who's Germany-based, says Tuchel is tempted to get Man United back on track should Ten Hag leave the club in the summer. But there are still no concrete discussions. Taking over Man United with its traditions, quality and power is the big goal of Tuchel. However, he also does not rule out a return to Chelsea because he does not see his mission there as finished yet. I would hold reservations around that one because I feel that he is keeping his options open, which is his prerogative. And I think he would take the Chelsea job if it came up. And that, to me, would be a big red flag if I was Ineos, because I wouldn't be looking for a player that's thinking about signing for Man United and thinking of signing for Chelsea. I want people, especially the manager, to be a long-term obsessive about the Man United project. Also, we've had David Ornstein come in this afternoon talking about the situation with Erik Ten Hag. Sorry, not Erik Ten Hag, with Thomas Tuchel as well. But we've also had the Telegraph saying that Man United's bigger project over immediate trophies philosophy wouldn't rule out Champions League winner Thomas Tuchel if he's willing to build something sustainable at Old Trafford. And I'll just find you what David Ornstein had to say as well. As of today, Ineos have not made any concrete talks with any managers, says Fabrizio Romano. That's come out as well. There was something about... David Ornstein said, when you're looking at these candidates or potential candidates, our understanding is that Thomas Tuchel does want the Man United job if there's a vacancy. So, look, in conclusion, in summary, let's start the discussion, it does feel that Thomas Tuchel hasn't got a job, and Thomas Tuchel wants a job, and there's not many big jobs available. The Barcelona job is not available to him. Otherwise, I think he'd be saying how much he likes Spanish football, and he's never managed there, and he'd like to manage in Spain, but there is no job in Spain. The PSG job, he's had it. He can't put himself forward for that, even though Luis Enrique did go out last night. Maybe that job's vulnerable. The Liverpool job has been taken as well, and the Bayern Munich job's up for grabs because they and him are departing. So if you are Thomas Tuchel, I will put my hand up and say, yes, I would be flirting with Manchester United as well because it's the job that's available, that's the biggest job available this summer. The Chelsea job isn't actually available. And I can't, for the life of me, see that Chelsea would go back for him anyway, considering they've got the same owner that parted ways with him in the first place. So Tuchel, Man United, is probably the only job he can get at the moment, isn't it? So I'm not surprised that he would like the job. As I said, David Ornstein, Fabrizio, or any other journalist saying that Thomas Tuchel would like the Man United job, to me, is bloody obvious. It doesn't mean he's going to be the manager of Man United, though, does it? Just because he wants the job. A lot of people want things they don't necessarily get. And Man United should not be going for people just because they want the job. It should be far, far, far more scrutinised than that. These newspapers will have no clue what Ineos are doing. The news will just drop like it did with Barada and Ashworth, says Dan. I hope so. I mean, I had a great... Here's something, community, for you. I had a great message from TR. We'll call them TR today. And they said... What we should all do as United fans is go after these journalists who've been going after Ten Hag for months and months and months and demand that they get the sack every single day and start rumours about them getting the sack every day. So it would work like this. Particular journalist works for particular newspaper and every single day we start rumours saying particular paper should sack particular journalists for this, this and this. They're incompetent, they're rubbish, they talk out their arse. Rumours are that they're going to get sacked and get replaced by this. And just do it every single day for 6 months and just see how they feel. That's not my recommendation, by the way, but I did think it was worth bringing into the show because you know what? You're right. Some of them do and have been on this Ten Hag out bandwagon since last October. Last October. Imagine if we did that every single day for 6 months, demanding particular journalists get sacked for this reason. Oh, new story about this journalist today. Did you see this article? Absolute disgrace. He's going to get the sack. Oh, new story about this journalist today. Apparently he's going to get replaced by that journalist because he's absolutely crap at his job. Oh, this journalist has written a rubbish article again. He's so crap at his job. That's the 10th load of shit article again. Sack him now. I mean, it is quite a funny thing that I've never actually thought of until that TR messaged me today. And I thought, you know what? Yeah, it's very easy to demand somebody gets the sack. And I think when it's fans, it's very different to journalists doing it every bloody single day, like a dog with a bone. And do they really know? Do they know? Are Ineos ringing them up and saying, said journalist, Ten Hag's going to get the sack at some point, so why don't you just keep writing about it every single day? Why don't you tweet about it every single day? Are they bollocks? They're just doing it because they want it to happen. So, you know, maybe it should work the other way round. Ten Hag begs for Ten Hag's job. Tuchel begs for Ten Hag's job. Yeah, that's basically what Tuchel is doing at the moment, no doubt about it. Is Martinez or Shaw back and ready for the next game, says Darren. I don't think so. We've got the Arsenal preview tomorrow. We'll ask around a bit, but I don't think they are. Tuchel could win his second Champions League, says Carl. Well, I'm Bellingham tonight and Vinicius Jr., so I hope he gets knocked out. I do like Harry Kane, though. PM said he also lost his job at Dortmund because he fell out with the hierarchy. It's a very well known in Germany that his character is problematic, says PM. Well, I'll take your word for it on that. I can only talk about what I know. I know he fell out with Chelsea. I know he's fallen out with Bayern, and I know he fell out with PSG. I don't remember what happened with Dortmund. Obviously, I know he was manager of Dortmund, but I, for some reason, thought he left Dortmund to take the PSG job. I can't remember. Did he get sacked by Dortmund? Was it because he fell out? I mean, if he did, that's 4, isn't it? That's 4. It's like Southgate and Tuchel camps are fighting hard for their clients for the best paid job on the market. So many news from them recently, says Matty. He never fell out with Bayern. Do show us proof, says Ryan. Ryan, I'm going to give you the next 5 minutes to, we don't do this very often, but Ryan, who is a Chelsea fan because he's got a Chelsea badge, who's on a United stand, we'll welcome him. Ryan, can you tell us why he's losing his job from Bayern Munich then? If he's not fell out with Bayern, why is he not going to be Bayern Munich manager anymore? That's all I'm going to say. I know the answer, but we're going to leave it to Ryan to come back and tell us why Tuchel is not staying at Bayern Munich if he hasn't fell out with the hierarchy. I'm just going to wait for this answer because I think it could be an interesting one, but we'll give you that chance. Eduardo said that there were rumours today saying that SEG agency wants you to protect their clients. Anthony, Rasmus, Ten Hag. Are the rumours bullshit? Eduardo, I'm really going to choose just to move on, and I'll tell you why. On the podcast this week, I spoke about this cease and desist letter, and it wasn't started by me. It was started by Man City accounts. I wound them up and delivered a letter. Here it is now, that never existed. And apparently it was me starting all that up and I'm the one doing clickbait. So I'm not getting involved in these Twitter rumours anymore because some people have really low IQ and think that I set the whole thing up, and I've now got Man City burner accounts. So I can't live at that level of IQ. I can't operate there. It's depressing. It's like living in a sewer. So I'm not interested in Twitter rumors. But what I will always say to you is, I don't lie, I don't make things up, and I've never done that to this community, and I never will. If I was being paid by anybody, I would let you know. I have never taken any payment from any agent, from any journalist, from any manager, or from any player. And I've never done any favours for any of those people either. Because if I did, then I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. So it's bollocks. Absolute bollocks. Whoever the manager is, we still need to replace most of the players, says Andy. I can only see us getting rid of the bench warmers, though. We're all waiting on the comeback from the Chelsea fan, by the way. Mark, the club debt is the elephant in the room. How are we going to pay off $1 billion? Alan, yeah, great point. Mark, the kind of person Tuchel is, these players will surely get him sacked. I still think Tresic is the best option if Ineos sacked Ten Hag, says Avanash. And who would you prefer to win the Champions League, Sancho or Tuchel? Ancelotti. Tuchel, underrated, will get us plenty of toffees, says KM. And these newspapers don't have a clue, says Dan, which we've read already. Ryan's come back. Ryan has come back. He's not ran for the hills, Steve. He's back. He said that Bayern didn't fall out with Tuchel because board and fans want him out due to not winning the league. Nothing to do with falling out with the board in ways he previously did, says Ryan. But Ryan, you're sort of trying to get off on a technicality there. You should, so he's fell out with the board then, hasn't he? Because he's not met their expectations. They haven't given him a bloody bath, have they? And said, don't worry, do you want some bubble bath? Get in, can we get you a meal? Oh, by the way, we don't want you to be sacked. Of course, it's the bloody, what? If you get sacked for not getting results, they're not shaking your hand and giving you a hug, mate. You've fallen out. Did Mourinho fall out with Man United when he got sacked? Of course he did. I mean, what's your definition of falling out? He didn't meet their expectations. They've fallen out. They are not in a good place, Ryan. There was talk last week of them even trying to keep him because they can't find a manager. There was talk last week that Bayern Munich have actually backtracked and want to keep him now. And the reason it's not happening is because there's been a falling out, Ryan. So, look, believe what you want to believe. But the bottom line is, he's either been sacked because he's fallen out with them because he hasn't met their expectation, or they now want to keep him and they can't keep him because they've fallen out. But either way, Ryan, if you want him to manage Man United, you're a fucking Chelsea fan, mate. What's your point? If you want him at Chelsea, please do start a GoFundMe and recruit him, because I don't want him at Man United anyway. I want him to join Chelsea. I would love him to go to Chelsea. But the bottom line still remains. He fell out with Dortmund, apparently. I don't know about that one. He definitely fell out with PSG. He definitely fell out with Chelsea. And he's been sacked, fallen out, sacked and fallen out with Bayern Munich. So there we go. Apparently, Ryan, you've got some people in the chat who think you've won. They think you're right. I don't care. I've got nearly 10,000 people watching in the best community in the football community out there on YouTube. So I don't really care if I lose an argument. It's not bothered. I'm not bothered at all. But I don't think I have. Because I think if you get sacked, you've naturally fallen out with your employer. And also, if he hasn't fallen out with them, why is he not staying there when there's been talk of him staying? Why wouldn't he? If he's not fallen out with them and they've said, sorry, Thomas, we actually want to keep you now, why is he not staying then? Because he's fallen out with them. Will you be doing a watch along for Madrid versus Bayern? Yes, I will. Thank you, Singh. Yes, I will. And Mark, do you ever consider the pressure Ten Hag will be under next season from his first game? I think you're always under pressure as a Man United manager. You have to deal with that. And Mark, how come United is still the most valuable club in the world? 6.2 beating Madrid. I didn't know that was the case. Kunal. Hello from Paraguay, says Mauricio. Would you take Amarin if there's a player clear out? Look, Mauricio, I don't want to see Ten Hag going. I know a lot of you don't want to see him going. But if I had to choose between Amarin, Tuchel, De Zerbi, Potter, Southgate, I would take Amarin, yes. Ali says, I'm from Germany and I can confirm he is an issue. No, Ali, Ryan's right. Ryan's won the show. Ryan has said that he hasn't fallen out with Bayern Munich. They're best friends and actually they're sacking him because they really love him. But he didn't win the league. So they're all crying. They're all best mates. There's been no falling out. They regularly go to parties together. and swap keys apparently, and they get on really, really well. So there has been no falling out, Ali, at all. They're best mates. They're best mates. Mark, the club debt is the elephant in the room. I've got to move on. Right, so it's not just the news about Thomas Tuchel tonight, unfortunately, and I never get an apology. I never get an apology, do I? I get a lot of people. I saw it last night. I don't reply. I'm not interested in Twitter. I'm not interested in, people on Twitter who try and quote tweet me. You're doing it because you're using my name and the United Stand to try and, get tweets and likes. And that's fine. I'm all for growing smaller talent. Absolutely. In a Twitter account way, not in what some of you are thinking. I'm here to help at the end of the day. There's a lot of people who look up to me. There's a lot of people who look up to the United Stand. And if they want to quote tweeters and go the opposite way to try and grow themselves, then, I'm happy to claim an assist. But I'm not going to get involved in your argument. If you want to get involved, get on the United Stand and we'll discuss it here because this is the home of the United Stand. But I did say this in the March international break. And I've had people who know nothing trying to tell me I'm wrong when I know where I got the information from, and it came in from 3 different people. And it was reported by 2 other journalists in the international break. I know for a fact that Gareth Southgate is a consideration for Manchester United. And I said it in the March international break. So when these stories are coming out again, you thought it was a problem that had gone away. You thought, some of you, that it was a joke. And yes, I concede the joke is scary. The joke is unbelievable. But it is actually a thing. And it's being reported more and more. And again today, there are stories coming out about Gareth Southgate to Manchester United. Today, we've had one from iPaper Sport saying that several top targets to replace Ten Hag, namely Nagelsmann, Southgate and Zidane, have serious doubts about taking the Old Trafford job. Well, we know Nagelsmann's not taken the job, and we know that Zidane's not really a big name for Manchester United at the moment. We've also heard in relation to Gareth Southgate that Matt Law in The Telegraph has said Man United will not choose a successor to Ten Hag, but if they part ways on their silverware alone, what's this? Sorry, let me get this out. Manchester United will not choose a successor to Ten Hag on their silverware alone, which boosts Gareth Southgate chances emerging as the favourite. So basically, having won trophies is not going to be a prerequisite for Manchester United appointing a manager. So look, Zidane has won Champions League. Tuchel has won a Champions League. Southgate's won nothing. But that will not stop Ineos appointing him. They're not interested, apparently, in that story, in appointing a manager that's actually won things. And despite Gareth Southgate never winning a trophy in his managerial career, because he's crap, Man United are not believed to be prioritising short-term managerial success if there's no long-term project there. I mean, look, I don't think I've ever mentioned this before. But whoever Manchester United go with, I was thinking this today, and I've never mentioned it before, and this is scary. So if you're like me, and you'd rather stick with the manager for another year, and stick with the project for another year, then that's what you want to do. If you're somebody that wants to sack Ten Hag, then you want to do it after 2 years, which is a very short project. Fine. But what I predict we've all got to do is that if they do sack Ten Hag and bring a new manager in, they're going to give him a long time. I think they will resist any... So if you're Ten Hag out now, and in 2 years' time, you're not impressed, and you start going Southgate out, or Tuchel out, or De Zerbi out, I don't think they're going to do it. I think this manager they're going to stick with for a long time. So if they do get Southgate, I think they'll stick with him for 3 to 5 years. No matter what happens, I think they'll stick with it because it's their choice. And they'll look back to now and they'll go, well, a lot of fans wanted to stick with Ten Hag because they felt that the project needed to be followed through. Well, we've got our own guy now and we're going to stick with our guy. So I think that what that's all about is they're not looking for a short-term fix. They're looking for a long-term project. And I think if they did go for a Southgate, they would stick with him for a very long time. I think if they went for it with a Tuchel, they would try and stick with him for a very long time. And it's terrifying. I mean, look, there's no doubt that Tuchel's a good coach, but Southgate, I mean, this is therapy, right? I genuinely don't know what I'll do if they give Gareth Southgate the job. I genuinely don't know what I'll do. I was trying to think of an analogy, and I'm very good at them, but I can't think of one as to how traumatic this would be. You know what? I don't know. I can't think of what Southgate managing Man United would be as an analogy, because it's a bloody nightmare. I just can't. I can't think. It's like my worst nightmare. I can't tell you how long I've wanted him sacked as England manager, and I don't massively care about international football. I really don't. But yeah, I mean, look. Would you rather have Tuchel over Southgate? Oh, LeBron, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I'm not. Look, if we get Tuchel, I don't agree with it, and you'll know it. I can't lie. If we get Tuchel, you'll know what I've said. But what I will do is I will back him. Because I've done that before with Fellaini, with Lukaku, with Matic. I didn't want them. I didn't want Moyes. But I will back them. It doesn't mean I'll back them for long. If after 4 or 5 months I'm proved right, I'll go, fucking hell, I don't want this guy. But I would back Tuchel if he gets the job. Because I believe, as United fans, we always do that. Southgate's different. It makes me want to heave. It makes me want to be sick. I don't think I can get behind him because I just don't. I think it's absolutely incredible that somebody like that could be given that. It's like getting Ian Beale to do a Scorsese film. You know, it's like getting Ollie Murs to do the opera. It's like getting Stevie Wonder to replace Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes. It's just there's so many. There's so many analogies out there, but he's a really nice guy, but he's not a Man United. I mean, he's not even a bloody Everton manager, is he? Let alone Man United. It would make me really worry. It would make me really worry. I've supported the club since the 80s, but I honestly can't watch Southgate. I'm gutted. Writing is on the wall, says Tom. Whoever the manager, apart from Southgate, doesn't matter. All we need is players to listen to the manager, improve the work rate. I think we're past that, Amit. I mean, I think a lot of these players need to go. I don't think we can just say change the manager and use these players. I don't think we can do that. As bad as this season has been, thinking about the type of managers that are out there and then what we need, Ten Hag is still the perfect style of coach, says Levi. Look, I'm not up for this whole Ten Hag in, Ten Hag out thing because people are passionate on either side. I've said to you before, and I will repeat it. I don't know whether Ten Hag's the right guy. I don't think we'll find out for sure until next season, and we'll never find out if we get rid of him. But I think we should keep him for another year because the manager market's crap and next summer it'll be really good. Like, I can think of 2 or 3 managers that are available next summer that are better than what's available now. So, you know, Nagelsmann might be available next summer after a year. Ancelotti will certainly be available next summer. You never know what's going on with Alonso. You just don't know. I think there'll be better managers and we'd be better placed for it. I've been saying this for 3 years now, that we as a club are not able to catch up to the football that is now played worldwide, and I'm scared, says Tuchel. Nigel says, Southgate as a manager is terrifying. We will genuinely be a mid-table club and mentally draining thinking about it. Apparently Rio Ferdinand has said something I'm going to talk about in a minute. Radcliffe said he admired Arsenal. Red Devil says rinse, repeat. Mate, the One show's on. Go and watch it. If you've not figured out after 10 years that this is a community where people talk to each other, then you've completely missed the point. I don't know what you think this is. We started it on a Sunday night once a week at 8 o'clock and just chatted about United for an hour. It's a community, mate. We're not Sky. We're not the BBC and we're not the Manchester Evening News. We're just a community having a chat. Why do you set standards that are completely unfair to what we are? We're just talking about something we're passionate about. We don't have to come up with a brand new topic every 5 minutes to, you know, kiss your arse. Go and watch The One Show with Ronan Keating. Life's a roller coaster. Go and ride that. Radcliffe said he admired Arsenal's Arteta case, as Patrick. Look, mate, I genuinely will tell you this. I know people around United, they don't know what's going to happen. If you want breaking news, it's not great. But sometimes breaking news isn't the news you want. So for every journalist and every ex-player saying Ten Hag's a dead man walking, or any journalist that's saying it looks like he's going to stay, honestly, I know people within that football club who don't know what's going to happen. They genuinely are saying, we don't know which way it's going to go. And if they don't know which way it's going to go, I don't really think, well, there's two things. Ineos know and they're being tight-lipped, or they don't know. I tend to believe they haven't made their mind up yet, which is not good or bad. It could go either way. But when people like Fabrizio and Ornstein and everybody are saying there's no concrete talks with anybody, I don't genuinely think there is. I think what's happening here is, it's a bit like your Christmas list when you're a kid. You don't know what you're getting yet, but you're putting forward ideas. And I think that's what's happening here. The journalists don't know what they're getting. So they're putting forward ideas. Oh, I'd like a PS5, Tuchel. Oh, I'd like an Xbox, Zidane. Oh, I'm a boring thick idiot. I'd like a rock, Southgate. You know, I think people are just chucking names around, and we shouldn't be surprised by that. That's been the fundamental basis of journalism for the last 50 years. People putting out stories to generate stories. I don't think anybody knows what's going on. And I'm certainly not going to predict it. I know what I'd like to happen, but I also acknowledge that he might go. Few weeks ago, Alan Pardew said we should get Mark Robbins from Coventry to replace Ten Hag, and that's on the mainstream media. Dons, I can't confirm this one way or another, but apparently Martin Tyler said he'd like Deitch or Southgate. Look at your replies on your Tuchel tweet and read the article linked there instead of guessing about Tuchel, says Casper. I don't look at Twitter, so I don't look at my replies. God, let me have a quick look. I'm not reading all that, mate. It's my Twitter. I don't have to read the replies. There'll be somebody calling me some horrible name there. I don't need to put that into my head. So if you can tell me, Casper, what I said, but I'm not reading Twitter replies. I stopped doing that a long time ago, and it's better for my mental health. So Southgate is basically Di Maria all over again. That's an insult to Di Maria. City is Maria down the road. City, Chelsea, Spurs all changed squads upon new ownership and vision. Why are fans fixed on removing manager before players, says Hitton. Southgate hasn't won with one of the most talented England squads. I think he is going to win the Euros this summer. My issue with keeping Ten Hag is that I have little faith in his choice in signings. So if we keep him and he has an input in a bunch of new signings, then we'll be stuck with a bunch of new players. But we already know that's not going to happen, Matt. We already know that's not going to happen. And also, a lot of his signings weren't his first choice. If Potter, De Zerbi and Southgate are candidates, surely Vieira should be considered. He's working for City's group, New York team, Nice and Palace. He's won nothing, been appointed players, meets criteria, says Jason. Southgate getting the shits after food poisoning, says Ross. I've supported the club since I've done that one from Tom Tom's. Lovely stuff. I just want to try and hit on this because I know I'm live for the bloody Champions League in just over 10 minutes. I have a conspiracy. All media wants Man United's downfall, says Nathan. And Jack says, would you take Simeone? Personally, I wouldn't touch him with a mile-long pole covered in sanitizer while I'm drunk. No, I don't want Simeone. But Simeone is better than Southgate. I'd take Simeone over Tuchel. Am I going to get clipped? Oh, I've said it. I don't want Simeone. I've never wanted Simeone. Atletico Madrid have been better this season. Their possession is quite traditionally low. It's quite defensive. But I'd take Simeone over Tuchel because I just feel that he'd be coming to Man United for the first time. He'd be coming to the Premier League for the first time. He's ridiculously passionate. I mean, what he did to Beckham, I can't believe I've just said that. But I would take Simeone over Tuchel. I don't want a manager that's managed a rival. I want somebody that's passionate and obsessed with Man United, not they want the job because it's available. Like, as I said this morning, if the Barcelona job was available and the Chelsea job was available, would Tuchel choose Man United? No. He wouldn't. He'd want the Chelsea job or he'd want the Barcelona job. He wouldn't want the Man United job. I'm not stupid. He wants the Man United job because it's the best job available. And fair play to him. Fair play to him for that. But I don't think he's like... I don't think he's the right choice. But that's just my opinion. I've been wrong on things. I can accept that. We should not be talking about managers. We should be talking about getting rid of these players, says Vic. And this is very clever, and this is a great point. Last week was such a positive week, wasn't it? We were talking about transfers. We were talking about sales. It was a great week last week on the United stand. This week, we're back in that horrible area where it's manager, 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 manager. And it's just not a nice conversation. And we're here because that's where the media wants us. They want us talking about this. God forbid, Avinash says, God forbid Southgate getting the job. For once, I'll relish the players getting in the sack. And Ryan says, so you're going about style for Ten Hag and blame injuries. Can you imagine how you play with Simeone? Tuchel literally plays possession football. Ryan, I've already answered my question. Thank you very much. You're a Chelsea fan. Matthew, right, okay. Rio Ferdinand's been hugging Thomas Tuchel and probably telling him to come to Manchester United. That's what the story is. Mate, if Rio Ferdinand touches you or writes about you or says sign him up, that's the kiss of death straight away. I mean, basically do the opposite of what Rio Ferdinand wants. I'm just reacting. He's at the Champions League for TNT. He's given Tuchel a hug and then had a little chat in his ear. I mean, wasn't it Rio who was live at a train station in the summer? I've heard that Qatar's going to get done in 24 hours. There's the Ollie thing. Get that contract, sign that thing. Yeah. Mark, what if Ten Hag is one season manager like? He might do well next season if given the chance and go right back to this season. Think of Ineos perspectives. Look, you know, I'm starting to agree with the person who said rinse and repeat because I have said this a lot. Many new owners come into a new club and want their own man. In fact, I would say the majority of new owners bring in their own man. They do. It's a fact. I don't know what the percentage is, but I would predict a lot that many new managers bring in their own man. Yeah. Do you think United could persuade Ancelotti by offering 80 million like we would spend on a player, but Ancelotti is guaranteed greatness? P.S. Don't see this happening. Dan, there was a great question a few minutes ago. We are nearly £1 billion in debt. We can't spend our way out of this. I was speaking to somebody yesterday morning, when I was out on a walk, and they watched the channel, and we often have a chat. He's got a dog, and the dog doesn't talk. It's not relevant. He just has a dog, and he was saying that he hopes Ineos work it out, but Qatar would have come in, cleared the debts. They'd be cracking on with loads of stuff because they'd own the club and they've got the money. I don't want to talk about Qatar, but just for a few seconds I will. If Qatar had bought the club, we wouldn't be locked in all this red tape. Like, the project to rebuild the stadium would be up and running. The debt would be cleared. They would be moving things a lot quicker. Ineos are always going to move a little bit slowly because they've got to get stuff signed off. They only own 25%. And the debt won't get cleared because, quite rightly, Ineos shouldn't clear the debt because the Glazers own more of the club and they put the debt in place. So anything financial, we can't predict. We can't predict what the transfer budget is. We can't predict, how much we can spend on a manager or whatever because we don't know the financial situation of Man United. This summer's going to be a massive learning curve. We'll come out of it on August the 31st and we'll know whether we are a club that can spend money or whether we're a club that's got no money. And we're going to find that out this summer. How many Lisbon games have you actually watched, says Daniel? Lisbon, probably about 2 this season. Yeah, mate, I don't need to lie about it. I'm not... Look, on the other hand, there's people out there that go and watch Portuguese second division games and tell us that they found the next Casemiro and you never hear of them again. If you're somebody that likes watching loads and loads and loads and loads of games around Europe, well done. You've got the freedom to do it, but doesn't make you any better than anybody else. I don't know what point you're trying to prove. Josh Deacon, welcome to the Members Club. I've got to go. I've got to go. I have to go. I'm going to be live on bloody Champions League night, and I'm not even going to be there. It's been a great show. You can tell it's been a great show when that happens. Look, we'll be talking about Tuchel a lot more because he's about to get knocked out of the Champions League by a better coach. Ancelotti's going to hand him his arse on a plate. And I bet a lot of you hope that that's not going to happen, so you can say, I told you so. But we can talk about that more in a minute. I'll see you on That's Football. Legends, don't forget Manscaped. 20% off, free worldwide shipping. Links in the description or scan the QR code. You're absolute legends. And I'll see you over on That's Football. Take care.